I don't know if anyone's heard of Ringette before, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to it. So Ringette is a sport that was invented in West Ferris, Ontario, so that's basically North Bay, and it was invented in 1963 by Sam Jacks, who was the recreational director of that region. He created Ringette because he noticed that there was a need for a winter team sport specifically for girls, as hockey was becoming really popular, but it was dominated by boys. Over the years, the sport has undergone many changes. It started out with players wearing figure skates, playing with cut-off hockey sticks, and using a felt ring. I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but as Ringette players, we've shifted to hockey skates, and we now have specific sticks. So I'm stick inside. I don't know if you can see that, but this shows you that it's not a cut-off hockey stick. It's actually got a special tip specifically for shooting, and we also use a rubber ring, which is actually trademarked. So that's kind of cool. And all Ringette rings are blue. While the protective equipment is really comparable to hockey, I mean, we wear helmet, shin pads, elbow pads, all the regular stuff like that. There are a lot of differences between the two sports, and I feel it's necessary to highlight these because often people assume that because we play on ice, our sport is identical to hockey. So in Ringette, the emphasis is on team play and cooperation. While this is also the case in hockey, Ringette's unique rules emphasize this aspect. Ringette players are not allowed to carry the ring over either blue line and must instead look for a teammate to pass to. This encourages more passing and less dominance by a single player. So you can't just skate the ring up the ice by yourself. You have to look for outlet passes. And it encourages people to work together more in terms of passing while you utilize the full length of the ice. You're able to use the whole length of the ice at all times because Ringette, unlike hockey, doesn't have offside. So we're able to plant cherry pickers or people that you can place, in the far end of the ice, and that allows for extremely quick turnaround from one end of the ice to the other, with the ring being passed instantly from zone to zone. So it is a really fast game. And if any of you have never seen Ringette before, I highly encourage you to, YouTube some videos. I can send some along after this presentation just to show you how fast the game can be. Although we can utilize the full length of the ice during play, it's important to recognize that unlike hockey, only certain numbers of players from each team are allowed in certain areas of the ice. The one specific area that I'm focusing on here is the crease. In Ringette, it's slightly larger than hockey, and it's considered a goalie-only zone, so any other players are penalized for entering this space, and it also helps to keep the goalie safe from body contact because Ringette is a non-contact sport. Likewise, near the net at each end, it's considered a restricted zone as well, so this limits the number of players who are allowed to enter. Past that point, each team is only allowed to have 3 skaters plus their defending team's goalie. With fewer players allowed in each end, creates more open space, and as compared to hockey, it allows people for more speed, and it encourages agility and really emphasizes precise skating skills. As I mentioned, it is a really fast game, and the speed of the game was increased incredibly with the introduction of a 30-second shot clock. So that's actually one of the big roles that I play in the sport. I do the shot clock. It's kind of like what you might see in basketball. And if anyone has any specific questions about that, I can answer those as well. But the biggest thing to know about the shot clock is that a team has 30 seconds to take a shot on the other net when they get control of the ring. And if they're not able to do that, a buzzer goes off and then the ring gets given to the other team and the process starts all over again. With all the changes that have taken place, whether that be equipment or rule changes or the introduction of something like shot clock, Ringette has grown incredibly since its inception in 1963. As of right now, there are about 32,500 players and 1,700 referees in Canada alone. And although it was originally targeted as a female sport, There are currently over 700 registered males in our country as well, and there are even some male-specific leagues, and those tend to be more in the prairies and in Alberta. There are also some notable NHL players who got their start playing ringette. So their first introduction to the ice was through ringette, and some of these players include Chandler Stevenson from the Washington Capitals and Mike Matheson, who plays for the Florida Panthers. That's just a fun fact. The sport's become really popular in Finland and Sweden, the US, Slovakia, France, Russia, and the Czech Republic. And in 1990, they even started a world championship, and it tends to be dominated by Canada and Finland, but Slovakia and the US and Sweden have been slowly coming up, and the word I'm looking for, the sort of disparity between the teams has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, so the competition has become more tight and more intense. And there's also hope for increased expansion of the sport into Japan and even Abu Dhabi. I thought that was really interesting because I wouldn't have thought of Abu Dhabi, but apparently ringette has taken up popularity there as well. With luck, knowledge about and appreciation of this game will keep growing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because talking about it with others, as we've been doing, is just one more way to ensure that that happens.